This morning, as the light breaks forth, I stand with confidence and reverence before the Almighty. These early hours are not ordinary. They are gateways in the realm of the Spirit. Between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m., destinies are shaped, atmospheres are defined, and the direction of the entire day is determined. I come with gratitude, acknowledging the faithfulness of God, the keeper of my soul, the one who watched over me through the night. I rise today, not in my own strength, but in the strength of the Spirit. This morning is a gift, a platform, and a prophetic seed that I sow into the hours ahead. I refuse to step into this day casually. I speak with intention, with clarity, and with spiritual intelligence. Every word I release now becomes a decree, a law, and a shield over my life. I align my mind, my heart, and my spirit with heaven's purpose. I declare that today will not be wasted, stolen, or corrupted. I command the morning to work in my favor, and I call forth every blessing, every opportunity, and every divine connection assigned to me. As I lift my voice, I shift atmospheres. As I declare, I activate angelic assistance. As I speak, I legislate the will of God concerning my life. This morning, I rise in authority, I rise in victory, and I rise in dominion. Today is blessed. My steps are ordered, my senses are sharpened, my spirit is strengthened. This is my morning of alignment, empowerment, and supernatural establishment. Let the heavens hear, let the earth respond, let this day obey. This is my 5 a.m., 7 a.m. powerful morning declaration, and I decree that nothing will stop what God has set in motion for me today. The power of early morning alignment is one of the most overlooked spiritual mysteries. Yet it is one of the most important principles that governs a victorious life. The hours between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. are not just ordinary hours. They are spiritually charged windows where the heart is more sensitive, the mind is clearer, and the spirit is more receptive. In these early moments, the noise of the world has not yet risen. The distractions of the day have not yet demanded attention, and the soul is still in that delicate state between rest and awakening. It is here that alignment becomes a force, a spiritual strategy that determines the direction, quality, and outcome of the entire day. When a person wakes up and aligns their thoughts, words, and spirit with God, something profound happens. The atmosphere within them shifts. The internal environment begins to harmonize with the presence and intentions of the Holy Spirit. This alignment is not emotional, it is spiritual. It is the intentional positioning of yourself under the influence of divine truth before the pressures of life attempt to shape your mindset. Early morning alignment is the difference between reacting to life and living with authority. It is the difference between entering the day empty or entering it filled with light, wisdom, and strength. Many people wake up and step into their day without preparing their inner world. They rush, they panic, they worry, and they allow the spirit of fear, confusion, or heaviness to become the first voice they hear. But in these early morning hours, you have the opportunity to silence those voices before they even rise. This is the time to confront doubt, to silence anxiety, to settle your spirit, and to declare who you are and what governs your day. When you align yourself early, you take spiritual responsibility for the atmosphere you carry. Alignment is not just prayer, it is positioning. It is acknowledging that your strength is not enough, your plans are not enough, and your wisdom is not enough. It is the humility of recognizing that unless God breathes upon your day, you are simply moving through empty routines. Alignment is saying, I refuse to start this day without permission from heaven. It is the declaration that you will not be governed by fear, frustration, or past failures. It is the choice to come under the influence of God's peace, His guidance, and His supernatural wisdom. As you align your spirit early in the morning, you also align your expectations. Your day begins to rise to the level of your declarations. Your atmosphere becomes charged with faith instead of fear, conviction instead of confusion, clarity instead of chaos. You begin to attract what heaven has already prepared for you. You start the day in command instead of in survival mode. You walk with intention instead of reacting to circumstances. The power of early morning alignment also lies in the spiritual laws that are activated at this time. Scripture shows repeatedly that dawn is a moment when God speaks, empowers, and gives direction. When you awaken and align yourself, you step into these ancient patterns. You enter a rhythm that prophets, kings, and spiritual giants followed. They understood that to rule the day, you must first speak to it. To overcome challenges, you must first strengthen your inner man. To walk in favor, you must first create agreement between your spirit and God's will. When you align yourself between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m., you are not just preparing for the day, you are shaping it. You are declaring to the unseen realm what is allowed and what is forbidden. You are taking authority over your emotions, your decisions, your encounters, and your opportunities. You are telling the day, you will not control me, I control you. This alignment becomes a shield, a compass, a source of strength, and a channel through which divine help flows. Early morning alignment is a daily reset, a spiritual calibration, and a divine advantage. When done consistently, it changes your life, your mindset, your productivity, and your destiny. It is the foundation of a day lived in victory. The authority of spoken words is one of the greatest spiritual laws God has placed in the hands of man. Yet many people walk through life unaware of the power they release every time they open their mouths. Words are not sounds. Words are seeds, forces, and spiritual instruments that travel into the invisible realm to shape the visible one. When a person wakes up in the morning and begins to speak intentionally, especially between the hours of 5 a.m. and 7 a.m., they are not merely expressing thoughts. They are legislating realities, commanding atmospheres, and sending instructions to the day. The spirit world responds to words long before it responds to actions, because words are the triggers that summon either divine assistance or spiritual resistance. There is a reason why darkness fights your confession. The enemy does not fear your thoughts, he fears your declarations. Silent faith is powerful, but spoken faith is dangerous. Dangerous to fear, dangerous to delay, dangerous to confusion, and dangerous to any force that seeks to alter the script of your destiny. When you speak in the morning, you are acting as a spiritual governor, a custodian of divine authority placed upon your tongue. Your words become the laws that govern what the day is allowed to bring and what it is forbidden to carry into your life. Many people underestimate morning declarations because they do not see an immediate physical change. But words do not operate on the schedule of human impatience. They operate according to spiritual accuracy. A declaration sent into the atmosphere does not die. It travels, it works, it organizes, it dismantles, it summons, it builds. Words construct pathways. They call forth people you have not yet met, opportunities you have not yet seen, favor you have not yet experienced. They also block dangers, silence demonic whispers, and rebuke storms you may never know were coming. Your words are warriors, and the morning is the battlefield on which you deploy them. When you speak negatively, your words become weapons pointed at your own future. When you complain, you empower the very forces that resist your progress. When you speak fear, you authorize the environment to mirror that fear back to you. But when you speak faith, you authorize angels to move. When you speak blessing, you unlock doors. When you declare victory, you disarm every hidden agenda of darkness against your day. The authority of your words is not based on feelings. It is based on divine law. Even when you do not feel strong, your words carry strength. Even when you do not feel confident, your declarations carry authority. The morning is the most strategic time to release words because your spirit is fresh, your mind is uncluttered, and the day has not yet been shaped. Speaking early is like engraving your desires into the atmosphere before anything else attempts to write upon the canvas of your day. When you rise and declare today is blessed, you are imprinting blessing into the spiritual blueprint of the next 24 hours. When you say, my mind is sharp, my steps are ordered, and my path is favored, you are aligning your reality with heaven's intention. Your words also influence your internal world. A declaration spoken with conviction has the power to break mental fog, silence emotional turbulence, and awaken spiritual confidence. You begin to feel stronger because you spoke strength. You begin to think clearer because you declared clarity. You begin to expect better because you released words that elevated your expectations. What you speak into your morning determines what you see throughout your day. The authority of spoken words is a gift, one that allows you to partner with God in designing your destiny. Heaven waits for your voice. Angels listen for your instruction. The earth responds to your decree. Your day bows to your declaration. When you understand this, you stop speaking casually. You stop allowing frustration to shape your language. You begin to speak with intention, precision, and spiritual intelligence, knowing that every word that leaves your mouth becomes a builder of the future you desire. This is why morning declarations are not optional. They are essential. They are the steering wheel of the day, the ignition of spiritual power, and the foundation upon which every victory begins. The world you see is shaped by the words you speak. The principle of divine direction is one of the most vital dimensions of a believer's walk, especially in the early hours of the morning when the soul is quiet and the spirit is most open. Divine direction is not simply knowing what to do. It is the supernatural advantage of being guided by the wisdom of God before the noise of the world begins to pull your attention in 100 different directions. Between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m., you stand at the gateway of a new day, a fresh cycle, a blank spiritual canvas waiting for instruction. What you receive and align yourself with at this sacred time often determines the momentum, decisions, and outcomes that follow throughout the day. Many people live their lives reacting, responding to emergencies, rushing from one problem to the next, operating from confusion, pressure, or guesswork. They make decisions based on emotions, fear, or assumptions. But divine direction lifts you above that unstable ground. It gives you clarity in moments where others are confused, peace in situations where others panic, and precision in places where others make costly errors. When you seek and embrace divine direction early in the morning, you are choosing to walk through your day with the lamp of the Spirit, illuminating your path rather than stumbling through darkness. Divine direction is God's way of helping you avoid unnecessary mistakes. It prevents you from entering doors that look good but are destructive. It positions you to recognize the right opportunities and the right people, even when they do not appear spectacular. It sharpens your judgment, protects your time, and shields your heart from distractions. In the early morning hours, your spirit is less cluttered with the residue of yesterday's concerns. And because of that, the Holy Spirit finds a quieter chamber to whisper into. These whispers, subtle ideas, instructions, cautions, or impressions, are often the very keys that unlock breakthroughs, solutions, and divine encounters throughout your day. There is a wisdom that comes only in stillness. There is clarity that comes only when the mind has not yet been filled with the noise of responsibilities. There is guidance that arrives only when your heart is surrendered before God at the break of dawn. When you intentionally seek divine direction at this time, you are telling God, I refuse to live this day by trial and error. I refuse to depend on my own understanding. Lead me, guide me, instruct me, and show me the way I should go. That posture of humility and expectation activates heaven's response. Divine direction in the morning also aligns your priorities. When your heart is tuned to God, you begin to see the difference between what is urgent and what is important. You begin to discern what deserves your energy and what is merely a distraction. You start to understand when to move, when to wait, when to speak, and when to remain silent. One word from God in the morning can save you from months of unnecessary labor. One prompting from the Spirit can redirect your steps to the exact place where favor has been prepared for you. As you open your spirit in those early hours, ideas flow with purity. Creativity rises without interference, and decisions become easier because they are guided by wisdom rather than worry. The peace that comes from divine direction becomes an anchor for your entire day. You carry a quiet confidence that no matter what you face, you are not navigating life by yourself. You walk with the assurance that God has gone ahead of you, prepared the way, and positioned you for victory. In the morning, divine direction becomes your compass. It sets the tone for your conversations, decisions, and relationships. It protects you from wrong turns and connects you to right paths. It establishes synchronization between your steps and heaven's timing. When you begin your day with divine direction, you do not merely walk, you walk accurately. You do not merely move, you move purposefully. You do not merely live, you live guided, guarded, and grounded by the wisdom of God. This is the power and necessity of seeking divine direction between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. It positions you to live your day not by chance, but by divine design. The mystery of strength and favor is one of the most beautiful gifts God releases into the life of a believer, and the early morning hours are the sacred channel through which these blessings often flow. Every new day carries its own divine allocation, its own portion of strength, grace, favor, and opportunities. These are not randomly scattered across your path. They are intentionally placed, waiting to be activated and accessed. Yet many people step into their day without ever drawing from these heavenly reservoirs. They wake up already exhausted, mentally drained, spiritually empty, and emotionally overwhelmed, simply because they did not tap into the strength and favor prepared for them at dawn. In the quietness of the morning, when distractions have not yet started shouting for attention, the believer has a unique moment to receive supernatural empowerment. This empowerment is not physical alone. It affects the emotions, the mind, the will, the spirit, and even the body. Strength from God is not just stamina, it is stability. It is the energy to think clearly, the resilience to endure challenges, the boldness to face difficult tasks, and the inner calm to walk through chaos without being destabilized. It is the grace to rise above discouragement and not be weighed down by the pressures of life. When you enter your day with divine strength, you are not easily shaken. You are not quick to break, and you are not vulnerable to emotional turbulence. The early morning is when this strength is made available in abundance. It pours into the heart like fresh oil, revitalizing the spirit and refreshing the soul. Many people struggle through their day because they rely only on natural energy. They attempt to solve spiritual, mental, and emotional battles with physical strength. But when you draw strength from God early in the morning, you tap into a supernatural reservoir that carries you with grace, ease, and endurance throughout the entire day. Favor, on the other hand, is the divine advantage that causes things to work for you in ways you cannot explain. Favor opens doors you did not knock on, connects you to people you never planned to meet, and brings opportunities that far exceed your qualifications. Favor turns ordinary moments into extraordinary breakthroughs. It is the invisible hand of God arranging circumstances in your favor, positioning you in the right place at the right time, and ensuring that outcomes lean toward your advantage. Favor does not depend on your background, your strength, or your resources. It depends on God's intentional kindness towards you. These early morning hours are the time to call forth the favor that has been assigned to your day. Each day carries its own divine opportunities, but favor is what makes you sensitive to them and capable of stepping into them. Without favor, a person can stand in the presence of opportunity and not recognize it. Without favor, a person can labor endlessly and see only small results. But when favor rests upon you, small efforts produce great outcomes, and what others chase in years begins to locate you in moments. The mystery of strength and favor is activated through intentional morning communion with God. When you rise, speak, declare, and align yourself, you are opening the spiritual gates that deliver these blessings into your life. The morning becomes the spiritual launching pad from which you ascend into a day filled with divine assistance. You begin to walk through the day with confidence because you know you are not moving through your own might. God's strength carries you. You interact with people knowing that you are not depending on charm or ability. God's favor goes before you. This creates an internal boldness, a calm assurance that what belongs to you will not be denied, delayed, or stolen. When strength and favor accompany you into your day, challenges lose their power to intimidate you, and opportunities lose their ability to intimidate you. You walk with grace, move with clarity, respond with wisdom, and advance with confidence. And all of this begins in the early morning hours when you declare, receive, and activate what heaven has already assigned to you. The breaking of negative patterns is one of the most transformative benefits of early morning declarations, especially between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. when the spirit is most responsive and the day is still spiritually unmolded. Every person at one point or another encounters patterns, cycles that repeat themselves, situations that look different on the surface but carry the same emotional weight, the same disappointments, the same delays, the same frustrations. These patterns are not always random. Some are the residue of past battles. Some are the effect of wrong mindsets. Some are the result of spiritual interference. And some are simply unchallenged habits that have taken deep roots. Morning declarations carry the power to break these cycles before they gain momentum. A negative pattern is more than a recurring experience. It is a script trying to write itself into your destiny without your permission. It can show up in your finances, your relationships, your thinking, your emotions, your confidence, your opportunities, and your spiritual progress. Many people live their entire lives trapped in these cycles without realizing that the first step to breaking them is confronting them. And the most strategic time to confront them is in the morning, when your spirit is awake, the atmosphere is quiet, and your words carry fresh authority. In the early hours, you are spiritually at an advantage. You stand before the day like an architect with a blueprint. The day has not yet been influenced by external voices, unexpected events, or emotional pressure. This is the time to speak into the unseen realm and declare that every negative cycle ends. You are not speaking out of fear, you are speaking out of dominion. You are not begging for change, you are enforcing it. You are announcing to the realm of the spirit that patterns of delay will not follow you into a new day. Patterns of confusion will not steal your clarity. Patterns of stagnation will not suffocate your progress. And patterns of emotional heaviness will not sit upon your heart. Morning declarations disrupt spiritual routines that darkness tries to establish. They interrupt the momentum of discouragement before it begins. They cut off the influence of old wounds and old fears. They silence the whispers of defeat that try to creep into your mind. When you wake up and declare every chain is broken, every negative pattern is canceled, every cycle of failure is destroyed, you are not saying mere religious words. You are releasing spiritual authority that dismantles the systems trying to shape your day. These patterns often hide in everyday life. They appear in the form of repeated setbacks just when progress begins. They show up as emotional instability, sudden discouragement, unexpected resistance, or thoughts that drain your confidence. But when you confront them deliberately in the morning, you weaken their structure. You deprive them of the power they need to take hold of your day. You begin to establish new patterns, patterns of victory, patterns of clarity, patterns of progress, patterns of divine encounters, patterns of favor, patterns of excellence, and patterns of supernatural peace. Breaking negative patterns in the morning is also about renewing your mind. Sometimes the cycle is not external, it is internal. A person can be held back by learned fear, inherited thinking, emotional wounds, or limiting beliefs. But when you begin your day by declaring truth, you reprogram the internal script. Your mind begins to adapt to the language of victory instead of the language of defeat. Your emotions begin to follow your declarations instead of dictating your mood. Your spirit begins to rise above old narratives, embracing the identity and destiny God has prepared for you. The morning becomes the place where cycles are broken and replaced with possibility. With every declaration, you rewrite the atmosphere of your life. You set boundaries around your peace. You close the doors to what drains you and open the doors to what elevates you. You step into the day not as a victim of old patterns, but as a creator of new realities. This is the power of breaking negative patterns through early morning declarations. You choose freedom over repetition, destiny over stagnation, progress over setbacks, and divine order over chaotic cycles. And through this, every new day becomes a platform for transformation rather than a continuation of yesterday's battles. The call to spiritual dominion is one of the greatest invitations God extends to his children. And the early morning hours are the platform where this dominion is initiated, exercised, and enforced. Dominion is not arrogance, it is not human confidence, it is not merely positive thinking. Dominion is the God-given mandate to rule, to govern, to legislate, and to influence the spiritual climate of your life. It is the awareness that you are not a passive participant in your day. You are a commander, a custodian, and a spiritual authority placed on the earth to establish the will of God. When you rise between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. and begin to make declarations, you are stepping into this divine calling of dominion. Dominion means you refuse to live as a spectator while life happens around you. It means you refuse to let circumstances dictate your emotions, your decisions, or your outcomes. It is the realization that your voice carries weight in the realm of the spirit, and your words carry the authority of heaven when spoken with faith. Many people live defeated, not because the enemy is stronger, but because they abandoned their authority. Dominion is reclaimed when you stand up in the morning and tell the day what it must become, instead of waiting to see what the day will bring. The morning is the battleground where authority is exercised before opposition rises. It is where you establish spiritual order before chaos attempts to speak. Dominion is proactive, not reactive. When you command your day early, you do not wait for trouble to come before responding. You set spiritual boundaries ahead of time. You declare that no negativity, no confusion, no delay, and no darkness has a legal right to govern your atmosphere. You announce that peace will be your portion, clarity will be your guide, and favor will be your environment. Dominion is not loud, it is firm. It is the silent confidence that your declarations shape your reality. Spiritual dominion is also the recognition that you have authority over your thoughts, your emotions, and your internal world. Dominion begins inside before it manifests outside. If fear tries to rise, dominion speaks and says, "Be still." If anxiety whispers, dominion responds, "You have no place here." If doubt attempts to cloud your mind, dominion declares, "My steps are ordered." Through morning declarations, you reclaim the throne of your inner life. You refuse to allow emotions to run wild or circumstances to dictate your mindset. Instead, you govern your soul with spiritual intelligence and authority. When you operate in dominion, you change how you walk into your day. You no longer enter timidly, hoping things work out. You enter with assurance, knowing that you have already spoken victory into the day. You go to work with a presence. You carry an atmosphere of stability and spiritual strength. People may not understand it, but they feel it. Your confidence, your calmness, your clarity. This is the fruit of dominion. It is not forced. It is cultivated through consistent morning mastery. Dominion also means you refuse to allow darkness to write the script of your day. You overturn every negative expectation before it even forms. You cancel every spiritual assignment designed to drain your strength or steal your peace. You set angels on assignment and declare that the protection of God surrounds you. You speak over your family, your plans, your environment, and your destiny with the understanding that your words are not suggestions, they are commands. Dominion makes the enemy nervous because it reveals that you know who you are. This call to dominion is for every believer, not a selected few. It is a daily responsibility, a spiritual discipline, and a divine privilege. When you rise in the morning and take your place as a spiritual legislator, you become conscious of the power God has placed within you. You stop surviving and you start ruling. You stop reacting and you start directing. You stop fearing the day and you start commanding it. This is the beauty of spiritual dominion. It transforms your mornings, it transforms your mindset, and eventually it transforms your destiny. Each new day becomes an opportunity to impose divine order on your life and to walk in the authority God designed for you. Every morning between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. is more than just a quiet moment in the day. It is a divine invitation, a spiritual doorway, a sacred window where heaven leans closer, waiting for the sound of your voice. When you rise with intention, when you speak with authority, when you align your heart, your mind, and your spirit with the will of God, you shift the entire trajectory of your day. These early hours are the birthplace of clarity, strength, favor, and spiritual authority. They are the meeting place where God equips you, empowers you, and positions you for victory. Through alignment, you set the foundation. Through words, you shape the atmosphere. Through divine direction, you secure guidance. Through strength and favor, you receive the resources to walk boldly. Through breaking negative patterns, you free yourself from cycles that once held you down. And through dominion, you rise as the spiritual authority you were created to be. When these 6 dimensions come together in the early morning hours, a believer becomes unstoppable, not because life becomes easy, but because the spirit becomes strong. Every day carries mysteries, challenges, and assignments, but every believer carries the power to govern their atmosphere before the day even begins. This is the secret many never tap into. Mornings are not just a routine. They are warfare, they are worship, they are legislation, they are transformation. The strength you need, the clarity you desire, the peace you long for, the breakthroughs you pursue, they are often released in the quiet moments when the world is still asleep, but your spirit is awake. This is why you rise. This is why you speak. This is why you declare. Not because it is religious practice, but because it is spiritual strategy. Each morning, you are rewriting the script of your day with the language of faith. You are shaping outcomes with divine wisdom. You are planting seeds of victory into the soil of a new day. Heaven honors these moments. Angels respond to these declarations. Your spirit strengthens, your mind aligns, and your destiny shifts one morning at a time. As you continue to engage these early hours with consistency, you will begin to see a pattern of victory replacing patterns of defeat. You will see your life rising to meet the words you have spoken. You will walk with a confidence that does not depend on circumstances. You will carry a presence that cannot be explained. You will begin to understand that every great journey, every spiritual elevation, every destiny breakthrough often begins with a surrendered heart and a commanding voice at the break of dawn. This is your invitation to live differently, to rise with intention, to speak with authority, to walk with clarity, to live with dominion. When you embrace the power of these hours, you are no longer just entering a new day. You are entering a new dimension of victory, favor, and spiritual mastery. Each morning becomes a platform where God prepares you, strengthens you, and positions you for everything He has destined for your life. You are not just waking up, you are rising. You are not just beginning your day, you are commanding it. You are not just speaking words, you are shaping your world. And as you continue to engage these early hours with faith and intention, your life will testify that the power of morning declarations is not theory, it is transformation.